Welcome to Ninon Live. Yes, I'm Ninon de Verde Rosa. And, I always say I have incredible shows, but the guests are more incredible. But this particular guest, I've been trying to get on my show for many, many months now. The most incredible, yeah, all right, Harvey. Harvey Storman is the most incredible man. And if once you start watching the show, you'll understand who this man is, how much he gives, what he does. The tenacity of life is just amazing. And it's just blown my heart away. And I've just done all in my power to get him on. And now
can I write that down?
You can write anything down you want, Harvey. Anything. Well, don't forget you've got this recorded, so it's okay. So let me welcome Harvey Storman to my show, Ninon Live. Hey, Harvey, how are you?
I'm okay, Ninon. How are you?
Well, all the better now for seeing you. At long last, I can actually see you on the screen, and it's just amazing. Harvey has written many books. He's done an awful lot of things in his life. He actually started out, how I saw him, was as a singer, and he was singing, I believe it was it a wedding or a bar mitzvah, Harvey?
It was at a wedding. I had actually retired from singing, but when you're the best man for the wedding, you can't tell the guy and his wife that ask you to sing a couple of songs, you can't say no.
Of course not. Absolutely not. So I had the privilege actually of listening to these, and you do have them on the internet so people can find them, but you have an incredible voice and a natural ability as a showman. And then, unfortunately, things happen in life that we really can't avoid. We don't know where they come from. We don't know how they go to some people and not others. It is an untold story. Right, Harvey?
I'd have to agree.
It's something you just don't know what's going to happen. So in your prime of his life, he actually got multiple sclerosis. How old were you when you actually were diagnosed with this?
Well, I was diagnosed when I was 31 years old, but I knew there were things happening to me when I was 8 years old in second grade.
Really?
And I thought it was just normal that they happened to other people, so I didn't even mention it.
And what were those feelings? What were those things that you were going through your mind at 8 years old, which is very young, that were unusual, that you thought just normal?
Well, for a few months, my two best friends went to a private school, and in Jewish we call it a yeshiva, and I was there for for 6 months. For 2 months, they didn't get my records, and they put me in a grade ahead, which my friends were in. So I went from the smartest kid in the class to the dumbest.
Oh no! Oh, good Lord!
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet.
But we were kind of cut-ups in class, and we would always get the assignments like write 500 times tonight. I will not come to. I come to school to learn, not talk.
Okay.
Or anything like that. And after we all got together at night, and we're doing this writing, and well, all of a sudden I couldn't hold a pen anymore, and I was always the last one finished by far, and that was something wrong. And at the same time, all of a sudden my eyes just went bad. I normally wear glasses, which I just took off before the show, but I can still see you. Okay.
Oh, good.
And
so this was the beginning of how you realized there was something wrong. Did you tell your mother?
I didn't tell anybody. Well,
why did you not tell anyone? Can you remember?
I mean, with the eyeglasses. I mean, my mother wore glasses, and my father was getting to the point of maybe needing reading glasses. So I just figured, well, if both of them wear glasses, maybe it's just happening to me a little younger. So I was the first on my block to wear glasses.
And you
I
thought
mean,
nothing of it.
no, the only thing that made me feel bad was like in elementary school, they'd put a chart up on the blackboard with the lettering, and you're supposed to read them as they point to them. And to this, I couldn't see the chart, so I wasn't going to be able to read anything. And as a kid, you look at something like that and you say, "Oh my God, everybody's going to think I'm an idiot. I can't see."
Yeah.
So I still to this day remember the first three lines were EXFZOH.
Wow.
And at least I was able to do that, and nobody laughed at me for not being able to see the chart.
So did you memorize this then? Because if you couldn't
Yes,
see it, you memorized it.
yes,
Because you didn't want, and you were only how old? 8 years old?
yeah.
What
And
was your
I mean,
IQ? What was your IQ then? Do you remember? Or didn't you probably didn't even have one then, did you?
no, I still don't.
Are you sure?
I've been told a lot of things about myself.
Yeah.
No.
So when you started getting a little bit sort of it started getting more and more, when did you? Because I'm looking at you on tape at 31 years old and you look fine, everything's wonderful, fine. So it took an awful long time to actually get to where it is as of today.
Yeah, things would happen like I would notice. I'd say the most prominent thing was playing sports. I was extremely athletic and very good. And then one day I would go out there, like in just playing baseball, and I would be playing. If you're familiar with baseball much at all, I
Yes.
would be playing in center field,
Okay.
and I was the all-star center fielder in the league. And a ball would be hit toward left center, and I'd run to right center
Yeah.
because that's where I saw it going. And then the next ball would be hit the right center, and I'd run to left center. And by then, the coach would just wave me in and say, "Come on, you're playing second base now." So I couldn't follow the ball. And then when I'd get up to bat,
Mm-hmm.
a pitch would be coming, and I was a good hitter, and I missed the ball by 2 feet.
Wow.
And that wasn't normal at all. But instead of saying anything to my parents or anyone else, with the guys seeing me do these things, I said, I don't know what happened. I just didn't see it right. But after that, within a couple of days or so, things would just get back to normal.
Also, it was spasmodic. It would come and then it would go.
Right.
So that's why you never really paid much attention then.
Right. With MS, you see, there are two different types. There's relapsing remitting, and that's exactly what, the words are exactly what happens. It relaxes and remits. And then what I've been diagnosed with, which came on strong later on, was second degree primary progressive MS. So my chart is a 45-degree angle going downward.
Oh my goodness. So what did, I mean, your tenacity right now and how I'm looking at you and I see so much energy and I see so much life and so much, and this kind, and then you were singing and you were doing a lot of stuff. You were very, very intelligent, obviously in school, being put ahead 2 grades, and you probably cope with that as well. So when all this kind of fell apart, how were you? How did you actually feel within yourself? Do you wish you had said something sooner to your parents?
I'm glad I didn't say anything sooner, because even when I was already diagnosed and started having problems, it's like I would start limping on one leg, and my father would say, "What's the matter with your leg?" And I would just say to him, I didn't want them to feel bad about anything, because they were wonderful. So I just tell them, "Well, you remember when I was younger, I always had bad knees playing ball and stuff, and it's just come back to haunt me every now and then, and it's acting up. And we lived in different states at that time, so I was past college, so I was able to get away with limping around for a couple of days.
Oh my goodness. So you really wanted to keep this very, very well hidden. Would you advise anybody out there right now who's listening, or anybody who has this, would you advise them to say something or just to do what you did?
Well, if they're, well, I would actually say now that you probably should tell people about it, because you need to get to the right doctors. Not that they can necessarily do that much for you. Like I was told when I was first diagnosed, like that was 1981.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd gone to my eye doctor because I was going blind in my left eye, and before that I had double vision, where I was afraid to drive at night because I would think two motorcycles are coming towards me, and it would be a truck. so,
Wow.
so I got really nervous,
Of course.
and I even took myself off the road. I'd say within a couple of years of being well, a few years.
How old were you when you were diagnosed with it?
I was 31.
31 when you were diagnosed. So it was just about the time when you were doing that singing thing, that wedding.
Oh yeah, right around then.
Yeah.
Oh I wasn't diagnosed yet. Actually, that came 2 years later, because if you look at that video on the second song, I'm moving around just a little bit like that, and all of a sudden, if you're not looking for it, you don't notice. But I kind of fall back like that, and that was not on purpose. So I almost fell down.
Yeah, so you had all that stuff, but it's funny because I'm reading your bio here, and you actually worked in a scrap metal company.
Yes, a smelting. It was a smelting company. We melted down zinc and lead.
And you were there for quite some time.
Well, I was only there for 6 years, and after that, the thing was, my wife's father had passed away at a very young age, and her parents convinced her she couldn't be single. She had to be married. So they set her up with the man that owned this company. I was selling liquor at the time, and I would go over to the house for dinner. My wife and I were getting close at the time, and one day I said to her, you got to help me type up a resume. Yeah. And she looked at me and said, Paul, who was her stepfather, he's been saying all the time he would love you to come work for him. And at that time, he had only told me about how nice he was to all his employees, and he made everything sound great. And I said, I'd love to work for him. So we decided to go out and have breakfast. And he said to me, I'd really like you to work for me. And I said, that's good. I'd like to work for you. And he says, listen, it doesn't matter if you marry the girl, meaning my wife at the time. Yeah. I mean, at
that time she was your girlfriend.
No, yeah. And he says, if business is business. But after 6 years, my mother-in-law decided to divorce him, and he never said anything about, but if I get divorced or anything, that doesn't concern business. So I had to get out of there. I mean, and I found out as working for him, he wasn't the nice guy he talked about. He was the most mean, miserable guy that I had ever met in my life. It was like if you took a customer to dinner, you can't let him pay for any. He would tell me you can't let him pay for anything. The reason behind this is then you're going to owe him something if he pays for it. I don't want to owe anybody, so
Wow.
you always pay. And then one day later after that, uh, he and I went to dinner ourselves in a local restaurant, and I, the waiter brought the check over. I grabbed it, and he says, "You give me that check," and I said, "No," and he got real mad, and he said, "Hey, I'm your boss." I said, "Give me that check." I said, "This isn't the business dinner, okay?" So I said, "I'm paying the check. Now you're going to owe me." And
Oh, he didn't want that. He did not
uh,
want that.
not at all. He was so miserable, and at the same time, he couldn't do much because I was the one that drove us there. So
So you
he
wouldn't
had
drive him
no,
back?
he wanted to get home.
Yep, you got him. You got him.
But
So you obviously ended up marrying this young lady who you say
yes,
is your wife, and did you have do you have children?
no, we were just about to start. We've been married 4 years. We were going to start, and I was diagnosed with MS. My wife had always been telling me, I don't know if you want to marry me. I have Crohn's disease, and I don't want anything to happen if you have a child with me. I don't want the child to be sick. And I always said, well, I want to marry you, and we'll do anything we can for children. And, well, when it turned around the other way, it was like the doctor I was seeing at
Yes.
when I was first diagnosed said to me, and he was new, fresh out of school. He said, "You know something? I think we're going to have this thing licked in 3 years." So,
Wow.
so they still don't have it
They
licked,
still
but
don't have it licked. No.
no, not from what I can see, they have a long way to go yet.
Now,
Uh,
do they do a lot of tests on you as of new medicine or new ways of trying to sort of stop this, or do they do practice on you, or do they do anything like that
well,
with?
the thing is, you have to qualify for, phase one, phase two, phase three
Yeah.
uh, testing that they do, and your doctor has to, recommend you to a project. I'm lucky. The guy that I have now, my neurologist, uh, he recommended me for a couple of things that I was not supposed to be in on because he wanted to see if it would work on me and he wanted to help me. And well, uh, then we read that in this study, they've found that people are getting more brain injuries, and as soon as they started saying that, I was out of there. And when I did, the doctor told me this really wasn't for you, and it's doing better with the other kind of MS, but not yours.
With yours. So there's different forms of this and different platforms of it. It seems this way.
Correct.
Is this not? Did you not want to open up a brain hospital or something? Because I'm reading here in your
So,
bio that there's something you donate and you give time to.
well, I was talking to my rehabilitation doctor one day, and naturally, I'm a little different than most patients. So he had finished with me, and he was just writing something down. And I said to him, uh, I don't call my doctors by their last name. I call them by their first name because I've gotten to the point where I'm older than them.
Well, it
So,
seems like you have a lot of fun with. You have a great sense of humor, and this seems to have kept you in the position you are right now because you're just you're happy and you're content and you're doing so much in life that this is kind of your disposition.
well, you have to be, and I take after my father a lot. My father would go to, say, the neighborhood grocery store, and he would come up with a story about how he made this lady behind the counter laugh,
Oh,
and he would anything he did, it always ended with, and I made this person laugh. And my mantra for myself is, if I put a smile on somebody's face, it was a good day.
There you go. I agree 100%. I do the
Yeah,
same thing. I love to make
good.
people laugh, especially when you come out of the checkout counters, at a store, and they're always so, and they're always so kind of miserable. So, and they say, Nina, and hey, Sarah, how are you feeling? What are you doing? And I said, whoever I can, and they start laughing.
Definitely.
And everybody says, Nina, you can't say that. And I said, yes, I can, because it made them laugh.
Exactly. I feel exactly how you stated it.
Yeah.
As long as you make them laugh, if everybody did that, we'd all be a lot happier.
Oh, absolutely. Life is not that serious. I mean, we all come in the same way we breathe, and we all go out the same way. The first breath and the last breath. So take care of in between. It's not so important. Do something, make people happy, and try to have peace in the world. But that's asking an awful lot. But you wrote a book. You wrote your first book. What was the name of your first book?
Well, it's entitled Eyes of Emerald.
Eyes of Emerald. Why is it called Eyes of Emerald? Because the emerald is a beautiful, bright stone.
Well, I knew my wife always liked emeralds, and I just decided. I just made up the title. It was originally going to be Emerald Eyes, but in checking with the Library of Congress, some book already had that name, so they made different suggestions on a list for me, and I said, let's go with Eyes of Emerald. And besides buying her an emerald necklace, I thought this was the perfect thing to do. The book was a story my father told me. As I'm saying, my father always had stories.
You loved your
And,
father, didn't you?
very much. Both parents.
Yes, but you keep bringing your father up and how
Yeah.
he inspired your life. He really, yes, he created your life too, but he also created it in the living as well. So he was
Yes.
a good father.
Both of them were excellent parents. My mother she was the one, it was like the older generation family. Anytime I came home, uh, she was always going to be home waiting for me. Even later in high school, at the end of high school, I was starting to date because I was the ugliest kid you ever saw.
Well, you sure changed things, though.
Well,
Pretty
thank you.
handsome there. I mean, hang in there.
Well, I describe myself this way. Okay, I had more pimples on my face than anybody you've ever seen. I have pimples on my pimples. I created my own hairstyle, and nobody copied it. I don't know why. And uh, my mother dressed me funny, and well, girls used to always say to me, "Oh God, you are so ugly. Why are you talking to me?"
Oh, you're kidding.
No,
Well, because you
no,
wanted to date them, that's why.
no. All I say is hello, and they'd say, "Why are you talking to me?"
Oh my
So I did not have any wonderful experiences. I didn't even have any friends that were female. That helped me be a better athlete. Uh, so, I mean, even getting into the racial component, I in seventh or eighth grade, I still remember the two girls. It was Brenda Brown and Laverne. I forgot her last name. I said something to them, and they were African American, and they just looked at me and said, "You are so ugly, even for a white boy." And I, you don't forget those things.
No, you don't. No, you don't. So you had a pretty rough growing up as a childhood. You had a pretty rough childhood, as of how you felt you looked, and also with all these different things happening to you every so often. So it was pretty devastating. When your mother and father found out, how did they feel about multiple sclerosis, of you getting it?
Well, of course, like most people at that time, uh, people didn't know much about MS at all. I had hardly known about it when the doctor told me. Uh, I saw my eye doctor because I was going blind in one eye, and he sent me over to see a certain neurologist, and he wasn't there, so they gave me over to the new guy there who had recently gotten out of school, so or gotten out of the hospital, and well, he looked me over, and I was in a dark room, and I had just buried one of my friends who had a brain tumor, and the eye doctor told me at one point, I'm not sure. I got to send the girl and do some testing on you. Left me in a room, and she came in. It's all dark. And then when he came back in, he said, "Well, looking at the test, I don't think you have a brain tumor." And I was just going crazy because I was just at the funeral a couple of weeks before, and
a friend died of a brain tumor.
Right now they send me to the neurologist, and he says, "Well, I think the doctor is right. I'd say it's not a brain tumor." And I'm going, "Oh, thank God." He said, "But you have a 1/3 chance of having multiple sclerosis." And I didn't know what it was.
I was going to say, you didn't even know what it was at that time.
Right. And he didn't explain to me what it was. There are so many stories, negative stories about how doctors said things to people in those days and not explaining things. He just put his hand on my shoulder. He handed me a prescription for prednisone, and he said to me, "Look, just go ahead and lead as good a life as you can." And he walked out of the dark room, leaving me there. So when you say lead as good a life as you can, you think you're going to probably die soon.
Yeah, so that was all heartbreaking to you. Now, you're in a wheelchair right now, correct?
Well, you can see the...
Yeah, I can see it, yeah. Now, how long have you been in a wheelchair?
I'd say about 12 years.
Oh, only 12 years. So before that...
Only.
Oh, no, I'm sort of, I'm not familiar with all this. And the reason I'm asking you these questions is because to be confined to a wheelchair with your personality and how you are is amazing to me. And so you cope with this, and as you said, the best way you can. But what inspires you? You've written this book, Eyes of Emerald, and your tenacity to keep moving and to invent and to open up this hospital for the brain and to do so many different things. And you also give a lot of money to the charity, to multiple sclerosis, to the charity society.
Yeah, my book donates money to the society also.
Your book does.
Right.
Have you not just written a second book, or is it just the one book?
I have a second book. One of my best friend in Los Angeles is he's my editor. After he saw my first book, he read it and he called me up and he said, "Harv, I have a feeling you did the editing by yourself, and I think you need help." He was the editor for Medicare Medicaid in California, and he was a hell of a lot better than I thought he was. So everything got corrected, and I did have a few comments that, well, the book needs some editing to it. I love the story. It was great, but I'm sorry, you need some professional editing.
You always have to say something, people are like that, unfortunately, but that's how they are. What is the book about? Is the book about your history? What is the book about?
No, I wasn't even born at the time. My father told me the story about a cousin of ours. Say it was right around the Great Depression that it starts. And well, he was fairly young at the time. He was like 12, but he'd only met her a couple of times. It wasn't a close cousin. And well, what happened to her was amazing. She was a what do you call it, child that was born here to immigrant parents, and she had one brother that was younger than her. But as she graduated high school, it was known in the family that she was the first girl, that was going to graduate from high school in the family, and that was a big deal. And right after that, she surprisingly, her best friend helped her get a job at a textile factory, and she started working there. I got to try to be careful not to give away too much.
They won't write a book.
Right. No, but at the time she was kosher. Her family was very religious, and well, her friend told her, I go out to work to lunch on Tuesdays. Why don't you come with? Well, she didn't tell her that she was going to a Chinese restaurant, and she went there and she said, well, is this kosher? And she said, oh, don't worry, everything is fine. And after she'd eaten her egg roll, she was eating something else, and she said to the owner there, is there pork in this? And he was like, yes, there is pork. And her friend goes, well, surprise, the egg roll you ate had pork in it also. So as it turned out, she was, she was what do you call it, the only one in the family that had not kept eating kosher.
They'd never eaten pork, probably.
Yeah, and she liked it. But they went back to the restaurant week after week, and the owner took a real liking to her. She was like 18 and he was about 25 or so, and he was like from royalty in China. Yeah. And he had been, he had to get out of London for a good reason. And he came to America with his best friend, bodyguard, whose family was in service to the other man's family. And he promised to always take care of him. And things happened from, he wanted to date her. And she said, well, culturally, my parents would never allow this. And he was saying, neither would mine.
Oh, no. Well, in those days, definitely.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And eventually, things happened with her that I can't go into now because that'll give away part of the story. But things happened where she ended up where she wasn't, she ended up in a life that she had never even known about.
Wow.
And, well,
sounds like a beautiful story, and I don't want you to give the story away, but I'm imagining it in my mind, so now I've got to get a copy of the book.
I'll get you one. I think I know the author.
I think so. Yeah, I think I do too now. But I was going back into your wheelchair, that you've sort of managed to, you cope with everything and you take care of everything, and your personality and everything. How hard is it really? You go through this every day. How hard is it really?
Well, it's the one difficult thing is everybody that you know that's short, all of a sudden you're looking up at them, and when you see them, and naturally friends and cousins that are short, like 5 foot, 5'1", 5'2", I'm looking up at them, and I always end up saying, I never realized how tall you are. And the women always bend over and kiss you hello, and well, one of my cousins in particular was so excited. She said, I've never heard that before in my life. Oh. And thank you so much. And I didn't think she'd let go of me.
Oh, how sweet. So you seem to make everything into a happy moment. even with your challenges, because it is a challenge for you,
Oh,
because you
definitely.
do know the other life. If you didn't know the other life, maybe it wouldn't be, how it is. But you know how the other life is and what you were doing, and to cope with this. Can you give an audience out there of how you managed to do that?
Well, when I was confirmed with the disease,
Hmm.
I said to myself, well, I can either go ahead. I know that the disease is going to progress and things are going to get worse. But one thing I can maintain, because I have a very strong mind, and I said, no matter what happens, my father always said, do the best you can with what you got. And I never knew what you got meant.
No.
Well, now I knew what you got was, and I just said, I'm just going to do everything I can, and I don't have to change how I think.
No.
And
No.
so I had to accept the physical part of it. There was no choice in that. But, and I mean, it can be depressing, but I won't allow myself to stay depressed. Depressions, I can get rid of in like 5 minutes or so.
Absolutely. So you changed your whole way of life, of what you were thinking, of where you were going, and then what you've ended up, what you're doing. But you seem to be doing extremely well. There was something else written down here that you had a theory that was taught in schools, but apparently is not out. Give me a little info on what
Well,
that was all about.
what happened in Psych 1 at the University of Oklahoma,
Hmm?
I had a teacher, we had, say, 150 people in the class. And naturally, as I always did, I sat in the back. And uh, everything was based on Freud at that time.
Hmm.
And it was still early in the semester. And the chapter I was supposed to read that I did read the night before was, if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. Okay?
Okay.
And the teacher said, is there anyone that has a question? After reading all this, and I raised my hand right away, and with 150 people, I didn't know anybody's name. So, of course, he said, uh, you in the back with the blue work shirt on, uh, can you tell us what your question is? And I stood up and I said, uh, I guess you're talking to me, you with the glasses and the sport jacket, because I wanted to be able to get to him, and of course the class starts roaring at
Oh,
that,
of course, of
and
course. That's your sense
and,
of humor coming out there.
and you're going from an A to a B, if possible. And I said to him, I just have a question for you, simple one. I said, have you ever had a thought? And everybody's roaring now. And the teacher's looking at me with a stern look on his face. And he says, of course, I've had a thought. I said, well, sometimes you might be thinking, should I make a left turn or a right turn? And you answer yourself, that yes, this is what I should do. So you're actually talking to yourself. Do you consider yourself crazy? And and the class, they just erupted, and he didn't know what to say at that point, so he just looked at his watch, and it
Class
was,
over.
yeah, he said, okay, class dismissed. Tonight read chapter 5. You know, that's how I got into that, and I always, I mean, I always
You're
did
right.
things. I always did things that way, and I came up with a theory that this was for anybody to help themselves. I've used it on a lot of people, mostly women that have a low self-esteem, and I've helped a lot of people. Have saved a couple of lives, and it's very simple. And I tell them they don't have to pay me.
You do all this for, you give from your heart.
Yeah, I just tell them what they should do. If
Okay.
they have any questions, they should check in with me weekly and see if it's doing else, if it's doing them any good. So the thing would be that if you're depressed, uh, go into the bathroom. They usually have a large mirror there, or any place you have a large mirror, and just you have to promise to be honest with yourself
Yes.
and ask yourself out loud, looking in the mirror. Do not try to control your facial expression. And like you can say, do I really think I'm a good person? And look at your face and see what your face tells you. And to go on and on with different questions, keep it short. And, uh, you know, if you can find out you really think you're a better person than you thought you were.
So you're kind of diagnosing yourself, looking in the
Exactly.
mirror, being totally honest.
Right. I mean,
Because one of the greatest things to have in life is to love yourself. Because if you can't love yourself, then who can you love?
exactly. And being a person that really loves himself, uh, I thought this was the way to go. And uh, my niece told me something a couple of years ago. She was doing a doctorate at a psychology school, and she was talking to me about this, and I said I had that was my theory in 1967, and she said, well, in the doctorate program they adopted this in 1995, and I said, well, somebody else must have had the same thought because I didn't copyright it or anything. I was just a stupid kid going to college.
Well, you might say you were a stupid kid, but I don't think you were so stupid. I think you had these incredible thoughts. And all this may have occurred because, as you said, when you were younger, and the girls would say how ugly you were and everything else, that it gave you this inspiration to actually, not the outside, but let's have a look on the inside and see where everything is.
Well, it changed when I got to just before college. All of a sudden, the pimple, I got contacts. I learned how to dress myself, and all of a sudden, girls were coming up to me. And when I got to college and I joined the fraternity, we'd get together with the sororities, and people would say, "Why don't you play your guitar?" So I'd play my guitar and sing, and all of a sudden, I developed a reputation. And my second semester in college, uh, I lived with my first semester friend, and I met him at school, and we got together with two other guys from my fraternity, and we just started singing, and three of us played guitar, and it just sounded, the harmony was perfect, and
So
we
you did this. You never had any lessons or anything to play the guitar. You just played it.
well, I had 2 or 3 lessons, and to tell you the truth, I was a good singer, but I was not a good guitarist.
Well, at least you
Definitely.
tried.
I tried, and I tried, and I tried. Uh, no, but the four of us would go around to a sorority house uh, later at night, like around 10 o'clock, and we'd ring their bell and their intercom and just say, "Hey, girls, come on downstairs. We've got some entertainment for you." Well, they had no idea what it was, so they would come downstairs. And Oklahoma was a big fraternity school
Mhm.
and sorority, and so many, maybe 50, 60 girls or so would come down. And, well, we didn't know what to call ourselves, so all of a sudden, since we were just wandering around, we called ourselves the Wandering Four.
The Wandering Four. So that was the name of your kind of group.
Yeah, I mean, what else did we do but wander?
Can I ask you a question? Do you ever sing now? You ever try to sing now, or just to, for yourself?
Well, hearing me, you can probably say I do not have the best speaking voice going. The MS has affected my maybe my lungs, and I can't get air up and down as normal. So I sing much worse than I talk. So I can't sing anymore.
You don't sing anymore, and you obviously miss it, because I think when the song I heard, you really enjoyed it, and you were kind of a natural. You were one of these natural people that just could sing.
Exactly. In fact, I went to one of the music teachers at my school, and she said, I said to her, do me a favor, let me sing a song for you, and you tell me if I should have voice lessons or what. And I played a song for her, and she says, well, number one, you're not a good guitarist, and number two, she said, you don't need to go to a voice coach. You're pretty good the way you sound.
Just natural. So
I was happy with that, and I even had the same thing on Facebook a few years ago. I saw a lady was a singing coach internationally, and we got to be friendly, and I sent her that tape that you have,
yes.
And she listened, and she said, you really had a good voice.
Yeah.
It was easy to understand every word that you were singing. Your clarity was perfect, and this is something people don't do anymore. And she only complimented everything I said, so I guess I was a natural.
You were a natural. You absolutely were. With all the things you've accomplished in life, and you've written books, and you've just brought so much to other people's lives of what you've gone through and how you've experienced it, but you haven't let MS get you down. You keep plodding forward. You're just amazing with your tenacity. So what have you got? And I know that you're trying to get some funding for this hospital, so I'm going to just give a break here that anybody who would like to help with this brain hospital, which I don't know, brain research I guess is what it's going to be, and you need people to help you fund this and to get it on the road.
Well, what happened with this is, as I was saying earlier, I was at my rehab doctor's, and he was basically finished with me, and I said, so tell me about yourself. What do you like to do when you're not doctoring? And he said, well, a thought came to me a little while back that we really need a brain research and study hospital. And he had gotten some people together, and they had done a lot of things. At present, our group now has the land for the hospital. It's the county in Chicago is Cook County, so there's an old Cook County hospital that's just a historical site now. So he's going to build a tall building next to it, and I didn't know this. They can use the rooms inside the historical site, which was a long building. So, they'll have tall and long, and as long as they don't change anything to the outside and things like anything in the bathroom or the staircase.
Yeah, they want to keep it how it is. They can use it, right? It's funny, our producer, which is who you have been talking to, Steve Toth, he's actually got a very good friend of his who's also into the brain, finding out, theories and everything. So I'm going to try to get Steve to get in touch. You're probably listening. I hope you're listening, Steve. And you can come in if you want to, Steve. He's right there. I can see he's right there, back there, trying listening to me right now. But
Hi,
he has
Steve.
somebody that actually that you should all get together on, because it's also the same thing with the brain, you know, and how it works and what the functioning of it. And I actually love the brain idea, because I think there should be a lot more research on the brain, because I personally don't think we all use it as much as we should use it. I think there's a lot more there that we can use, but we seem to stop ourselves, or we think we know enough.
But this, at the same time, just about everyone has had someone in their family, themselves, or friends or something that has had a brain illness.
Yes.
Like my MS is part of the brain. It's connected to the nervous system.
Correct.
And that's what, when the nerves close down, the myelin sheaths that wrap around the nerves, they disappear, and the connections to go from one nerve to the next is now lost. That's why I can't move my legs, because the connection doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Yeah, it's funny. Your body is like a computer. You know,
Exactly.
there's like all these little wires, but it all goes up to one place, which is like the board we have in computers and wherever, that has to go to your brain. And these things either, and I have a very good friend of mine at the moment, actually, and she has like Alzheimer's. She's only 32, and her father died of it, and her sister died of it, and she has it. And I've been trying to help her and seeing if her, so I've sort of, you know, researched this a little bit, but the brain is such a delicate piece of functioning tool in our body that we don't seem to take care of that well.
Well, I don't think we understand it enough to know how to take care of it well enough. I mean, my father died, and my grandmother died of Alzheimer's also, but I mean, there's so many different diseases that people don't even think about the brain first. And if everybody knew what, because they don't know what the disease is, they know the name, and if they really understood what it is, they would be interested in this hospital. When in talking about raising money, the first thing we would like to do, we'd like to get, as the doctor said to me, I'd like to get a named person that that is known by many, and have them come up with a decent size contribution and start the ball rolling. And we could always mention them, because right now we have, like I said, the property. We have the backing of of one of our senators, the mayor, the head of the state legislation, and we have the architect from the original Cook County Hospital, and everybody's on board gratis to do their part on this. And I know in particular, I know a few people in social media that when anything happens, like the phone ringing, that you know, we'll be able to go out there and put it up on different places, and we'll be accepting smaller donations. Like if somebody just wants to give $5, $10.
But it all mounts up, because if everybody does that, that's like, you know, I think Obama was the one that started that when he was running his campaign through the internet, and he had all these young people that obviously don't have a lot of money, but they donated $5, $2, but he had thousands of them doing this, and so that's a brilliant idea. And I just want to say to the audience out there, here we have Harvey, that, you know, most people would say, well, he's not doing anything and he can't do anything. Well, that's totally wrong, because he's the one putting this all together, and you're putting your heart and soul into this, because you want to see you've been through enough, and you really don't need to do this, but you are, and you're making the time to do it.
Right, but the thing is, right now we have a law firm that's doing everything pro bono, and we're searching for a large enough CPA firm to work, you know, pro bono also. And I mean, as soon as the hospital opens its doors and we start getting in money, the odds are they will be the lawyer for the hospital and they will be the CPA firm for the hospital. So we have a good chance of becoming a very good client.
That's a brilliant idea. So if you kind of donate your time now with all the connections that they have, out there, which lawyers have a tremendous amount of connections financially.
Yes.
Because they deal with an awful lot of people that have financial situations that they have to work out. So if they come in, at least down the line, as you say, they could be the lawyer, they can be the CPA, and they can be evolved into something that could be absolutely amazing. And Chicago is a pretty good city to be in. I mean, it's one of the largest. It's incredible. I happen to know the Carey family, Susan Carey and her husband Thomas, and they actually own the Hawthorne racetrack. So maybe I should give her a call.
Hey, believe me, I would be happy to hear from anybody. I mean, if you would like me to say.
I would like you to say anything how they can reach you. How can anybody reach you, Harvey?
Well, the easiest way, because I'm not always moving around, is to just email me at Harvey Stelman, STELMAN, at Comcast.net. And just since I don't know everyone's name, just put hospital in the subject box.
Okay. We'll get that out there.
Right, because I'm also, but the thing is, I'm trying to bring this out to people, and the doctor has certain people, if they need certain information or anything, he would like me to forward them on to these people that will get back to them for knowing that specific answer to a question or anything.
Whatever questions they have as to what you're trying to do and what you're putting together and everything. It seems like you have a pretty good team. And it seems like this guy, actually, the guy that took care of your book, that actually, corrected and did all that, he would be a pretty good person. Does he know that you want to do this?
Well, he knows, and I have a sequel that will be coming out to my Eyes of Emerald, and right now he's done 29 chapters. I've got 39, but the problem is, and everything's okay, I'll say first, he had a quintuple bypass surgery, and I told him I'm not sending him many chapters, maybe one every other week or whatever, or
got to put pressure on him.
Right, maybe I'll send it to I'll ask his wife if it's okay to send him another chapter, and we'll be able to go on that way, because otherwise he could sit down, and he's retired also, and he'd say, well, I think I'll do 4 chapters today.
Yeah.
And I know.
By the way, does your wife help you with all this?
No, she's busy enough with everything, because besides me, she helps her mother out as in assisted living. She's 93. She's got a lot of problems, and she has to keep up with the caregivers. She has to constantly hire new people. And I mean, the caregiver I have that took my dog away because she barks a lot, he's been with me for almost 8 years now, and I mean, he's like a member of the family. But my wife's got that, and my mother and me, and she also, she's a national sales manager for AbbVie Pharmaceuticals, which they split Abbott Laboratories into the pharmaceuticals part and the mechanical part that makes stents and all kinds of implants.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's your wife's a pretty busy lady. But she has, I got to tell her though, she has a beautiful husband. Harvey, you are
Oh, God.
absolutely amazing. And unfortunately, I have to close the show because our hour is up. But this was not what I expected. You are brilliant. You are wonderful. I am so proud to have you on my show, Harvey. You're just amazing.
I just love to see your smiling face.
It always does that. It's always out there smiling. Because I'm one of those people that give other people smiles like you do. The same thing. Keep a smile on your face. I want to thank my audience, whoever was out there watching. And if you haven't watched this time, tune in again and have a look and see what Harvey has to say about his MS and how he's handled it. And it hasn't stopped him from doing anything. He continues to work, and now he's opening up and trying to open up this brain research hospital in Chicago. So anybody out there who knows anybody who would like to help with this, the lawyers, the CPAs, and everybody, please get in touch with him. And I believe he gave you his email, which is Harvey Sterman, and I've got it at comcast.com. No, .net.
.net. And I got to tell you, from all I've checked around the world on Google, I am the only Harvey Stellman in the world.
Yay! So there's only one Harvey Stellman out there, so you can't get lost.
There you go. If anybody says, so you think you're special, okay, there's my answer.
You're special. Harvey is special. Harvey, thank you so much. Gotta go. To my audience, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Ninon Live. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye, Harvey. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Carlo, can you come here, please? Oh, wait a minute. Are you still there, Steve?